So I'm working on this little study of what's going to be a bigger picture. This is a long-tailed tit. So these birds are mainly got some black up here, very light bits and pieces, and then they've got like a peachiest sort of chest bit here. So they're a really nice shaped bird, and then I want that to be the subject of the painting. So the background I want it sort of all blurry and stuff. So the background's not really that important, but that sort of thing is nice to do what they call a bokeh effect. So it's like a blurry background, but you have little circles of light where perhaps the light's coming in from the trees and that sort of stuff. So it's going to be an out of focus background with a few circles of light coming through. You can use that effect, this bokeh effect, on lots of different things, street scenes and night scenes, all sorts of things, but just to give you an idea of what it's like on an out of focus thing where you want the subject to be there. So this could be a person or an animal, or in my case a bird, a bit like when you take a photo and you do it in portrait mode. It's that sort of effect. So when you first think about doing this, you really need to know what your subject is, what you're looking for. So this is, say, this up here is going to be black. So that would tell me the bit around it, for a good contrast, that wants to be light around this area. These edges are going to be quite light, and this is going to be like a peachy colour. So my plan will be this area here will be light, and then as this is a nice peachy and light colour, it can go darker over here. So bear in mind the outside can be very, very white as well. So it wants to be sort of a bit, so basically yeah, this wants to be quite light, and then the rest of it wants to be quite dark, and then I'll put in a few circles. Now making the circles, you've got a few choices. You can either use a brush like that, and then a thirsty brush, and take some of the paint out, whatever size you want. You normally have to do it a few times as the paper's drying as well. This, you can put a bit of kitchen roll over like the end of a screwdriver, or this has got a lid, very much like this lid, but this lid's got a round end on it with a bit of kitchen roll around it, so you can stamp it out basically with that. If you wanted more of an oval shape, you could put a bit of kitchen roll around that, and that would give you an oval one. You've got, in the UK, this is our smallest coin, a 5p piece. Then you get the next in size anyway, is a 1p. And then the 2 and the 10. The 10 is next, and then the 2, but the 2 and the 10, there's not much between them. So depending on the size that you're working on, would depend on how big you want these circles of light to be. So for this, as it's only on an A5, obviously I will change this once I do it on a bigger sheet of paper, but just to get the perspective, if you like, I would probably have maybe a couple of 2s. So obviously I'm not going to use all the coins, so this will do for me for the little one. How big's that one? You can see the size of this cap is smaller than the 5. So then 3 will probably do. The other thing you can do is get a bit of blue tack, something like that, roll it so it goes into a bit of a ball, and then just squash it down to give you a round, and then chuck a bit of kitchen roll around that. So you can make your own size basically with that. That's probably about the size of a 5p. So there's a few different ways of doing it. So I'll put that 5p in there over a couple of times, twist it around and then twist it. So that's going to be my 5p size. I'll leave that to the side. Let's just give that a twist. So we've got one, couple of different sizes there, and the cap slightly smaller, so I definitely wouldn't really want any more than that, I don't think. Right, so the other thing you can do is get bits of sponge and just cut them round. This was out of an old one of these dish scourer things. I cut that bit off and then just trimmed that round with some scissors and stuck a pencil in with a bit of glue. That again would give you a few different sizes, and again you would just then with the sponge just suck up a bit of the paint with a sponge. So it's good to experiment with all these different things. Right, so this is the small one. Just a dab. Once it gets full up, we need another bit of kitchen roller just to take that most of that paint. Some will overlap. Let's have a couple of bigger ones. Obviously you can use this for things like stamping a moon on and stuff. Do one going off the page and one off there going off the page. Right, so I'm going to leave that. Do I mean the smaller ones? No, I don't actually mind that already so far. So what you can do, you will notice these will probably sink back in a little bit. Now if you want more of a blurry effect, once this dries a little bit, you can put clean water over all of it. Put clean water over all of it, and that will actually blur that even a little bit more. But just for our little test piece, we'll see how we go. See, some of these edges you will notice, like this one this is probably one of the first ones, that's already starting to fill back in a little bit, which is actually what I want. What have we got here? Now this bit, we haven't actually got enough colour there because the bird's meant to come around there. I've not actually put enough paint on these little bits here. So, with what I've got left, and before the paint dries out, has it dried out too much? This needs to be quite dry because otherwise I'm going to start getting big blooms everywhere. So on this test piece, if I got a couple of blooms, it wouldn't really matter, but for the real painting, obviously it was. But it depends what effect you are looking for. So with that brush you can tidy it up. Then if you want perfect circles or not. So this, now it's drying out a bit. You put that one in, you see that's gone a bit harsh, if you can see that on the camera. And you can see that in. It's obviously good as well for things like maybe bubbles. Anyway, I'm going to leave that to dry, and there's a line here, but I'm not bothered about that. It's just something coming on the other side of the plate, I think. With these little cheap sketchbook things, you get little bits of markings on the paper, and it will dull a bit, but not to a great extent. And then I can put my focus on my bird, afterwards. Anyway, I hope that's useful. I might record a bird, I don't know yet. But that's for doing a simple bokeh, and I'll obviously take it up around here. So once you take this tape off, you'll have a nice clean border as well. See you on another one soon. Cheers.